Hello there, this is Noish Nihal and welcome to Rajiv Gandhi IAS Academy daily news analysis of 13 December 2021. So moving on with our first news, and the first news is that RBI and PM signal reforms in the troubled urban cooperative banks. So we will be discussing all this, what are cooperative banks, what are urban cooperative bank, and what are the measures announced by RBI governor and Prime Minister both. So moving on, see the news is that RBI Governor Shakti Kant Das on Sunday indicated that the bank regulator will bring in sweeping regulatory changes to reform urban cooperative bank, and they also warned people against parking their savings in bank offering which offers high return. Okay, and moving on, the key points of the news were that while describing government's decision to raise insured limit for bank deposit from rupees 5 lakh to rupees 5 lakh from 1 lakh within 90-day time limit. So government is trying to raise the insured limit of bank deposit from 1 lakh to rupees 5 lakh, and this will be a landmark development. And also Mr. Das stressed that the payment of deposit insurance should be seen as a measure of last resort, means that should be the last resort of to all those customers that they are making the payment of deposit insurance. And also RBI says that when they will look over the cooperative bank, it will raise depositor confidence. So these are the points. And also government have created a new cooperative ministry, and this is the cooperation ministry is there. So the idea behind that ministry is to strengthen the cooperative system, and also will empower cooperative banking also. So this ministry, suppose if a question is asked that cooperative banks are linked with, and suppose a finance ministry is there, cooperative ministry is there, and two other ministry are there, and option are A, B, C, D, A, B, or A, B and C. So we will know that it's associated with cooperative ministry and finance ministry, so that way prelims can move on with and a question could be asked. And also RBI has come out with the new governance guidelines for commercial banks. Okay, and it will really define the way commercial banks were working. And moving on, what is cooperative banks are there is okay. So the guidelines is about commercial bank, and it will also include cooperative sector also. So what are cooperative banks? So cooperative bank is basically a financial entity which belongs to its members and who are at the same time the owner and the customer of the bank. Suppose five people gave about like 1 lakh rupees. This is such a small, just for example I'm saying this, for five people give 1 lakh rupees and they deposit it to some entity, suppose a bank they created, and from this 1 lakh people can take some loan. Suppose 10 people can take about 50,000. So also these five members are also a member of, these five people are also a depositor of the bank, and at the same time they are a member of the bank also. Okay, so this is the thing there, and it is registered under the State Cooperative Societies Act. Okay, and the cooperative banks are also regulated by RBI and is governed by Banking Regulator Act 1949 and also governed by banking laws for cooperative society 1955. So at start the cooperative banks were not a part of RBI, but slowly RBI is taking consideration of cooperative banks also, because there were, we all know this APMC. Sorry, not APMC, some other bank is there in Maharashtra, or in many countries, in many states, banking fraud has been done by this cooperative bank. For example, this Sahara Bank was there. So they just were giving cheap loans at and also were giving good interest. So but that bank became a fraud. So this kind of incident happened, which further pushes RBI to make a guideline for the cooperative banks also. So what are the features of the cooperative bank? This is customer owned entity. Okay, and the members democratically elect a board of director and they have equal voting rights, and also a significant part of yearly profit is allocated to reserve, and a part of it can also be distributed to the members. Okay, and they have played a significant role in financial inclusion of unbanked rural masses. Yeah, for example, Sahara was there, so it was giving loans to poorest of the poor. It was giving loans to rural areas. It was giving loan to the unbanked areas where bank could not go anywhere. So these kind of things were there, but still we have to regulate those things. So urban banks, cooperative banks can go on that way where general normal banks cannot go. So this is also a benefit of those. Okay, so moving on, there is this structure of cooperative credit institution in rural India, that how credit are given. So the short-term cooperative credit structure operate with a three-tier system. First is agriculture related, second is central cooperative bank, and third is state cooperative bank. So this one is the one of the most important thing, that PACs are outside the purview of Banking Regulation Act and hence not regulated by bank. Okay, RBI, sorry. And also this state cooperative banks and district cooperative banks are registered under State Cooperative Societies Act. Okay, and powers have been delegated to National Bank of Agriculture and Rural Development, NABARD. So we must have been heard about this regional rural bank, RRBs, regional rural bank. So although these are not cooperative banks, but they worked as giving banking power to rural areas. So they worked on the same line, except that it's owned by a private players. So NABARD take the regulation of these regional rural banks also. And moving on, so the news was about urban cooperative banks. So what are these urban cooperative banks? So primary cooperative banks are also referred as urban cooperative banks, and it caters to the financial need of customer in urban and semi-urban area, a small population urban area also. So these are primarily registered as cooperative society under provision of either of the State Cooperatives Act of the state concerned or Multi-State Cooperative Act. Okay, so 2002, if the area of operation is 2 or more state. So if suppose a bank is working in Tamil Nadu and Kerala both, and that's a cooperative bank, so it will come under Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act 2002. And if it's working in a single state, it will come under State Cooperative Societies Act of the state. Okay, so if, for example, there is this Al Khair cooperative banking, so it's working in UP, Maharashtra, Bihar, okay, and also in the Andhra and Telangana. So it will come under Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act. Moving on, the Banking Regulation Act came into force in 1949, and the banking laws were made applicable to cooperative societies only in 1966. Okay, so we can see that this gap of about 20 years is there when the cooperative banks were came under the regulation of RBI. So since there is this duty of control over the banks, so with the first is the banking related function being related by RBI, and also management related function regulated by respective state governments or central government, that is by a state register of cooperative society and central register of cooperative society. Okay, so the duality of control over these banks are maintained by these two institutions. And also RBI regulates the banking function of state cooperative bank, district cooperative bank, urban cooperative bank under provision of section 22 and 23 of Banking Regulation Act 1949. So this was all about urban cooperative banks and cooperative banks. Okay, so the key points is that the limit is increased from 1 lakh to 5 lakhs, and also that Corporation Ministry will be working in synchronization with the Finance Ministry and the RBI to work with the cooperative bank. Okay, and RBI gonna come with a new governance guidelines for commercial banks also, and that will include a huge portion on urban cooperative sector. And what is cooperative banking, that is discussed, and structure of cooperative credit institutions are discussed. And also we discussed about how urban cooperative banks worked in India and what are different regulation working with urban cooperation bank. So moving on, there's SC has taken a note on section 124A, that this is the sedition law. Sedition law means someone is not working for the country Okay, this is very much in debate when it comes to social issues, or when it comes to polity also, and social justice, like that. So this is a very important topic, especially for men's perspective. For prelims they might ask, but for men's perspective, these kind of issue are a very burning topic. So moving on with the issue. So why this was news, our union law minister Kiran Rijiju replied to the parliament that no proposal to scrap sedition charges in IPC, that is Indian Penal Code, comes. Okay, and this came after 5 months after Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramanna said that we need to scrap this law and something should be done about this law. So N.V. Ramanna questioned this law, that why this law are still functioning, and to its reply, Mr. Kiran Rijiju said that Indian government is not planning to scrap this law any sooner. So moving on, what are the key points? So in a hearing on July 15, Chief Justice of India compared the use of sedition. There was this beautiful quote said by him: to cut a piece of wood and he used it to cut the entire force itself. So he describes sedition like if someone is using sedition on its own citizen, so it's cutting that citizen from country itself. So, and to reply, the Ministry of Home Affairs have informed that there is no proposal under consideration to scrap section 124A of the Penal Code 1860. Okay, so this is the real laws. Okay, and further the question of law regarding section 124A is pending for education. And similarly, the 2015 judgment of Supreme Court in the Shreya Singhal case called for the striking down of wage laws and which choke free speech and shackle personal liberty. So whenever you are speaking of liberty or free speech in contemporary times, this case of Shreya Singhal is a very prominent case, and I will urge you all guys to have a grasp over this Shreya Singhal case, because you can utilize this case. For example, in Article 21 we can utilize this case. Okay, and whenever laws like this are described, we can mention this case in our mains answer writing. Also, the conviction rate of this section is very low, and conviction rate means suppose if 100 people are charged on section 125, okay, and only about 2 people are been proved, so the conviction rate here would be called as 2%. So this is how conviction rate is described when it comes to law. Okay, so what is 124A? So the section deal with the offense of sedition, terms that covers speech or writing or any form of visible representation which brings the government into hatred or contempt or excise defamation across the government or attempt to do so. So this is the definition, bookish definition we can say, of the sedition law, and it is punishable with 3-year terms or a prison or a life term. And disaffection can be defined as disloyalty and feeling of enmity. And one strong point about this is that it however it also expressed disapproval of government measure or action with a view to getting them changed by lawful means without promoting hatred or dissatisfaction, disaffection or contempt towards the government will not come under this section. Okay, so these things like expressing disapproval on government action and also changing them by lawful means and not using hatred or disaffection or contempt towards government will not come under the sedition law. So moving on, what was its origin? So its origin, like any other law, it's in a colonial past. Sedition was introduced in Penal Code 1870, okay, a decade after Indian Penal Code came into force, and it was a colonial law directed against a strong criticism of British administration, and it was used to put curb on freedom fighter like Bal Gangadhar Tilak was there, Mahatma Gandhi was there. So there was this quote of Mahatma Gandhi. We can use this whenever a question is asked on this kind of law. So he said that the prince among the political section of IPC designed to suppress the liberty of citizen is section 124. So he said this about section 124, the prince of political section. Okay, and moving on, is it constitutionally valid? So there are debates that it's a violation of fundamental rights and it puts reasonable restriction. And also there is this important case, one case is Shreya Singhal case when it comes to sedition and liberty and all that. And Shreya Singhal And other case is Kedarnath case. So in Kedarnath case, Supreme Court said that it's upheld the validity of sedition law, section 124. It was a Kedarnath versus the state of Bihar case, 1962. And at the same time, it application to acts that involve intention or tendency to create disorder can inmit to violence. So Supreme Court said that it can generate violence. So this law is kind of necessary. And strongly worded remarks can also become under sedition law. So why the controversy is now? Because there is this frequent use by the government, and also it is used for curbing dissent against the government, and also some misuse of propaganda can be used when applying sedition law. And in current times, this is one of the most important reason why this is a controversy, because in current time we have like National Security Act and UAPA, where a person can be put behind jail for 6 months and nothing can happen to him. He cannot get a bail or something like that. So these kind of harsh law are there. So why sedition law is still there is it puts in the sedition law into irrelevancy. So the relevancy of sedition law is not there. So that's why this kind of controversy are there. So we can use this like in point wise, we can say this kind of thing when it comes to mains answer writing also. So, and why is it being debated about? So liberal and right activists have been demanding the scrapping of section 124, and also it urged that the provision is overbroad, that is the defense of the offense is wide term, threatening to liberty of citizen. And also the law commission has said for a reconsideration of this section. And also it said that Britain abolished it a decade ago, and why this law is still in India means those people who make this law, like the British Parliament, they abolished this law. So why this law is still working in India is still a question. So this is being debated about. And some urge that a presumption of constitutionality does not apply to pre-constitutional laws. So in 1947 India became independence. In 50 we became republic. So we introduced our own constitution. So we make our own laws. Why this colonial period law is still there? Why this Victorian law is still in Indian constitution? Sorry, in Indian Indian Police Act. Okay, Indian Penal Code. Sorry. So why this is still there? So these kind of things are debated about. And what has Apex Court observed so far? So Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, which was previously working in Maharashtra High Court, had flagged the indiscriminate use of sedition law against people who air their grievances about the government's COVID management. So we can see how freely it is used. People were saying about COVID management, but government applied sedition law on them. So this kind of arbitrary use is there. And also people have been charged over for seeking help to gain medical access, equipment, drugs and oxygen cylinder. For example, there was this person who tweeted for this that state is not maintaining medical access, so he was faced a sedition law. So this kind of overuse is there. And also Justice U.E. Lalit in his recent judgment quashed the sedition case against a person for his alleged remarks about the PM and union government. So he was making a remark on PM and union government. So the Justice U.E. Lalit in his judgment said that okay, these kind of things do not come under sedition law. So moving on with the next news. So yesterday was 12th December, and the anniversary of Bangladesh is there, and formation of Bangladesh is there. And so on that, our defense minister Rajnath Singh said that partition of India on religious line was a historic mistake. So this is Bangladesh and it is between West Bengal, Meghalaya, Tripura and a little of Assam. So this kind of big closing area, like Bangladesh is sharing border with 1, 2, 3, 4 states Bangladesh is sharing border with. So moving on with the news. So in this, the Rajnath Singh said that government commemorated India's victory over Pakistan in 1971, and that led to the liberation of Bangladesh. And in 1971 it made happen. It was formed, and our defense minister told that it was a historic mistake that Pakistan has done. Okay, and the partition was a historic mistake because it was done on the religious line. So moving on, what were the key points of his speech? So he said that the war demonstrated the importance of jointness among India's armed force, means the air force, the navy, and army. So both were working in synchronization during 1971 war. So this is the showed the jointness of Indian armed force. So he said that it is the important for it, and India did not express its domination over Bangladesh afterward, but handed over power to political powers there and made Bangladesh a democracy. So there is this concept of like India trying to act like big brother. Okay, so big brother of Indian subcontinent. But if India was acting like that, he would have a complete dominance over Bangladesh. But what India did, that it handed the power to the political powers of Bengali people over there. So this was a great step in our democracy when it comes to our bilateral relationships. And the second thing is the third thing is that Indian armed force supported the Mukti Vahini of Bangladesh, and it helped lakhs of refugees and prevent any kind of aggression from western and northern sector. So this Mukti Bahini could be see, when things like these are coming, we have to make that in mind, because when you will see like previous year question, like this year only 2021 question, so in that fact where question we are asked like what happened on this date. Okay, so we have to now, prelims is totally unpredictable, so very dicey in nature, so we have to know this thing also. Suppose we cannot just skip this thing like, okay, this is a fact, this not going to come, but facts are also being asked in UPSC prelims. So Mukti Bahini, we should remember that. Moving on, so how's the Bangladesh relation till now? So India was one of the first countries to recognize Bangladesh. Okay, and there's this defense cooperation also. Various joint exercises are taken, like exercise Sampriti, exercise Milan, and there is this also border management. Good border management is done by India. Okay, and like India and Bangladesh share a border of 4,096 kilometer, and India Bangladesh land boundary agreement was done. Okay, so what was happening, that suppose this is not just suppose, there's this map of Bangladesh. Okay, so suppose this area of Meghalaya, or yes, this area of this part of Meghalaya, suppose they are this water area, so this part was of Bangladesh, this is sorry, yeah, this is Bangladesh, but this part was coming in India, and also in that India there was this part coming in Bangladesh. So very much confusion was there, so a land border agreement was done so that this kind of confusion are removed. Okay, and India and Bangladesh share about 54 common rivers, so there is a cooperation among rivers also. There is this joint river commission between India and Bangladesh, and also we have a cooperation over connectivity. We have this railway link, and also we signed the protocol to inland water transit, and there is this Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal motor vehicle initiative agreement. So this kind of connectivity agreement are also there, and also India is working with the power sector of Bangladesh, and we have a huge economic relation with Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is the India's biggest trade partner in South Asia, and also India's export to Bangladesh over year was $9.21 billion. Okay, now it raised to about $10 billion, so we can see it's only rising. Okay, and Bangladesh has appreciated the duty-free and quota-free access, and Bangladesh export India under South Asia Free Trade Area, SAFTA. So this SAFTA thing is also important when it comes to Bangladesh relation. So let's see what kind of relation we share. We share defense relation, we share water relation, we share connectivity, we share power sector, we share economic relation. So Bangladesh is a very crucial country for India. So, and also we are partnership on multilateral forums also, like UNSC and like SDG goals, and like South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, that is SHARC, and also BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative of sectoral, technical, and economic cooperation. And also like with many cooperation are there, like India Dream Association is this. So one of the most natural ally of India, and also one of the most friendlyhood neighbor of India is Bangladesh. So we cannot just ignore relationship with Bangladesh, good relationship with Bangladesh when it comes to India's relation. So moving on, there are some recent development also, and we recently inaugurated three project to deepen their partnership, and the use of Chattogram and Mongla ports in Bangladesh where it was being sanctioned for India, and use for Bangladesh Feni River for drinking water supply in Tripura was done. Okay, so similarly there are further some areas of cooperation like in investment, security, connectivity, cross-border energy, blue economy. What is this blue economy? Economy based on rivers and seas and or water basically. So, and there is this cultural economy based on culture, and there is this environment and disaster management thing also, because Bangladesh is prone to floods. So there are areas which are there always in water. So this kind of cooperation, disaster management cooperation, is necessary with them. And also this Rohingya crisis was there, so Bangladesh played a huge role in it, because Bangladesh is close to Myanmar also. So, and also during COVID-19, India assured vaccine for Bangladesh, so COVID diplomacy is also there. So these are the recent developments which is happening with Bangladesh and India. And what are the dispute? So there was dispute with the sharing of water, and resolving continental shelf issue in Bay of Bengal, and bringing down border incident to zero, and managing the media of Bangladesh and India both. And also Bangladesh has concerned over NRC, because in NRC it was said that Bengali people are coming, means Bangladesh people are coming to Assam. So Bangladesh is saying that they are not Bangladeshi, that's Indian people, we cannot accept them. So this issue with the NRC was happening with Bangladesh. And also Bangladesh is a partner of Belt and Road Initiative, and that was initiated by China, and not Delhi has not signed up still, but Bangladesh have signed it up. So this was also a reason for dispute. And in security sector also, Bangladesh is a major recipient of Chinese military invention, okay, and including submarines and weapons. So these are the recent disputes between India and Bangladesh. So moving on, this is main news of today, that is that India is looking at 5 Central Asian leaders for Republic Day chief guest. So this whole area comes under Central Asia. So we can see that this is Caspian Sea is there, okay. So between Caspian Sea and China, and between Russia to Afghanistan. So this area defined what Central Asia is: Caspian Sea and China and Russia and Afghanistan. The area between this is known as Central Asia. Moving on, so this was in news because India invited them, and 3 of them share border with Afghanistan. And as we know, since Taliban took over Afghanistan, India is concerned with the security of Afghanistan, and also the development of the region. So moving on, what were the key points? So informal outreach has been made, okay, and this country like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, they have been called. So the 5 Central Asian countries are key to situation in Taliban ruled Afghanistan, and Delhi has been engaging over that past few months. And also the last time this was happened was when 10 leaders from ASEAN were invited in 2018. So India has this habit of inviting guests over Republic Day. Important guests like Barack Obama once was invited, Donald Trump was invited, and also recently Boris Johnson was invited, but he was not available to make it due to the COVID pandemic and all that. So this is the reason of Central Asia. Suppose India is here, after Pakistan India is here. So we can see that how much closeness we have with Central Asia, okay. So for example, a person which is traveling from Delhi to Lucknow will reach for example, a person from Srinagar to Delhi will reach Tajikistan earlier than Delhi. So this much closeness we have with Central Asia. and this is Caspian Sea, and this is China. So area between that, and Afghanistan and Russia. So area between that. So moving on, why Central Asia country are important for India? First is for security perspective, and second of China influence. So and third one is international north-south transit corridor, which India is working on. So that is also a very crucial step for India, and also energy needs. For example, Kazakhstan has uranium reserves. Turkmenistan is a part of proposed Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran gas pipeline, and cultural links are already there between India and Central Asia. So these things are important when it comes to Central Asian countries. So what is the Central Asia region? As I have told earlier, that this is the region, and these are the countries which come under Central Asia. And also, what is the India Central Asia ties? So India has a very old wish to connect with fuel-rich Central Asian country. Okay, and since the emergence of Central Asian Republic are independent countries in early 90s, New Delhi has been trying, because these country previously were a part of USSR, United Soviet State of Russia. So this country were part of USSR. So now after 1990 breakup of USSR, this country became independent, and India is trying from then to make a good relationship with them. And also there are trade relations and collaboration between them. Okay, and there are different efforts will India is trying, and India is already working on for Central Asian countries. For example, this is TAPI, that is Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India gas pipeline, and there's this development of Chabahar port at Iran, and there is this Zaran Delram highway being developed. So if you have done our yesterday news analysis, you must be knowing this Zaran Delram highway. So it's a highway in Afghanistan which India has developed, so which connects about like Iran to the central of Afghanistan. And also there is this international north-south transit corridor India is developing. So this is basically the India international north-south transit corridor. From Mumbai we can connect to like Moscow and St. Petersburg, and by sea route and by land route or air route also. So this is the basically INSTC. So about INSTC, in 2000 India, Iran and Russia agreed on a new route which came as INSTC. It was aimed at cutting the cost and time in moving cargo between Russia and India, and the pact was ratified in 2002, and the original multimodal route linked Mumbai in India to Bandar Abbas and Bandar Anzali in Iran, and then across the Caspian Sea to Astrakhan, Moscow and St. Petersburg. So that is this. See, Bandar Abbas is there, Bandar Anzali is there, St. Petersburg is there. So this mega project has been developed. Okay, so over the years more countries joined the INSTC, and in 2003 India and Iran announced development of Chabahar port in Sistan Balochistan province. So this became an important aspect for India relation and India economic development abroad. So why Central Asian relations are important? Because to have this Chinese opportunism controlled, because China is in geographical proximity of Central Asia, so we have to control that. So what are the hurdles is there? Lack of mutual trust is there. Okay, and there is this also Pakistan factor is there. So because Pakistan is in between Central Asia and India, so there's this continuous tussle between us and Pakistan. And also Iran and US sanction is there, because India is India believe in multilateralism, not in unilateralism. Means India is a good friend of Iran also, India is a good friend of US also. So there is a continuous tussle between Iran and US. So India has to make its choices very carefully. And so, also there is this issues in Iran-Afghanistan bypass road, because the kind of urgency took over which happened in Afghanistan, and the recent event that occurred like Taliban take over the Afghanistan, and also Iran's bypassing of India. Okay, so because what happened that Iran's overtures has been clearly visible after itself allocating Farzad B gas exploration contract to another company bypassing India. So what Iran did, that when this gas exploration contract was to be given, so it gave to another non-Indian company, and it was promised to be given to India. So this was this conflict with Iran also. And today news, this will come in under art and culture. art and culture section, that vice president inaugurates Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat exhibition. So what was this? That honorable vice president Shri Venkaiah Naidu inaugurated an exhibition Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat at Potti Shri Ramalu Telugu University in Hyderabad. So what were the key points? So it was organized by Regional Outreach Bureau under Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and this exhibition highlighted various interesting aspect of paired state of Haryana and Telangana, and like art forms, cuisine, festival monuments. Okay, so in this Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, different paired states have been paired, and Haryana and Telangana are paired together. So to enrich the culture quotient of India. So this was done, and such initiative will go a long way in propagating the rich cultural heritage of paired state and promoting people-to-people contact. And also, Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat is a unique initiative by government to promote a spirit of national integration and a strong fabric of emotional bond between people of our country, and we need it right now very much. And also, this was launched by Honorable Prime Minister in 2015 on occasion of 144th birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And as we all know, he played a very significant part in unification of India. So to his credit, the name was given Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. So these were all the thing between of 13th December. So hope you are following it and also following our website, and there's this geography series also going on our YouTube channel. So, and kindly subscribe to our Telegram channel also, and I will be putting that link in the description. And do subscribe to this channel also and share this video amongst your friends. So thank you, take care.